Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that's been a battleground for gamers and lawmakers alike: government censorship of video games. And we're not just talking about a few raised eyebrows here. No, we're talking about legal battles, congressional hearings, and even Supreme Court rulings. From the pixelated violence of the 90s to the complex narratives of modern games, the fight for creative freedom in the gaming world has been quite a roller coaster. So let's power up and get started. So picture this. It's the early 90s. Arcades are booming. The home consoles are evolving. And then,
Finish him!
Mortal Kombat hits the scene. Not just your typical beat 'em up either. It's a game with blood, if you know the cheat code on the Genesis anyways, and fatalities, and digitized actors that looked shockingly real. I rented the Genesis version multiple times before I quietly purchased it on a trip to the mall with my friend. Then came Night Trap, a game I also had on the Sega CD. It was a full motion video game. The public went wild with this. Parents, politicians, everyone was concerned. These games were seen as corrupting the youth. It wasn't just Mortal Kombat and Night Trap either. Games like Doom, with its demonic imagery, and even some of the more graphic adventure games like Leisure Suit Larry, they were also getting attention. These games were seen as a direct threat to the moral fiber of society. This led to the infamous congressional hearings in 1993, a serious showdown where lawmakers threatened the industry with regulation. Senator Joseph Lieberman stated that Night Trap was about young women in a sorority house escaping hooded men with hooks. I mean, it's been a minute since I played Night Trap, but that is not the game that I remember playing. Imagine the chilling effect that could have been had they succeeded. We might be playing a very sanitized, very different game today. Imagine Halo, the Archangel Edition, where you save the souls of sinners. Or maybe playing Reasonable Vehicle Borrowing San Andreas, where you politely ask to borrow a vehicle to complete a mundane task. Those hearings were a wake-up call. Faced with this potential government intervention, the video game industry took a bold step. They decided to self-regulate, creating the Entertainment Software Ratings Board, or the ESRB, in 1994. This system, with its familiar E for everyone, T for teen, and M for mature ratings, was designed to give parents the information they needed to make informed choices. Games were now being labeled with content descriptors and age ratings, giving parents a tool to make informed choices. We all know those little logos, but they were a huge deal at the time. However, even with the ESRB, the fight wasn't over. Despite the existence of the ESRB, state and local governments kept trying to restrict the sale of violent video games to minors. They argued that these games were harmful and directly correlated with youth violence. But here's the crucial point. The courts consistently ruled that video games are protected by the First Amendment, just like books, movies, or music are. The landmark case was Brown versus Entertainment Merchants Association in 2011. The Supreme Court decisively struck down a California law that attempted to restrict the sale of violent games to minors. They argue that video games are a form of expression and that parents, not the government, should be making these choices. This was a massive win for gamers and game developers, solidifying that video games are a form of protected speech. It really set a precedent. It's not the same story everywhere you go, though. In countries like Australia, China, and even some parts of Europe, government censorship is much more common. They have strict rules about what's allowed in games, often banning or heavily editing violent or sexual content. For example, some games are completely banned in Australia due to their strong content. Games like Manhunt and Hotline Miami 2 were totally banned. And South Park: The Stick of Truth was initially banned until parts were censored and a new rating was given for the Australia release. While in China, games often have to comply with very strict moral guidelines, such as World of Warcraft, forced to cover up the Forsaken race's bones from protruding out of their undead skin. It really shows how different cultures and political systems view these issues. What's considered acceptable in one country might be completely taboo in another. Is it over? It's probably never over. Today, games like Dragon Age The Veilguard, Dustborn, and even Spider-Man 2 face criticism over topics raised in-game instead of the violence agenda from the 90s. I'll admit I'm not a fan of these topics in games, as games are an escape from the absurdity of real life, but that doesn't mean I want them banned. People will vote with their wallet on what they'll tolerate or put up with, and it's not the position of the government to tell us what we should or should not play. For example, I absolutely love Spider-Man. That series is great, regardless of that content that they put into it. The battle over video game censorship is a constant push and pull between concerns about harmful content and the fundamental right to free speech. While the US has largely protected games under the First Amendment, the debate does continue, and other countries have taken a very different approach. As games become more complex, more narrative-driven, more realistic, the discussion about their content will only intensify. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the fascinating world of video game collecting. Thanks for watching.